What's up, guys? This is Sean and welcome to another episode of the Heng Podcast. And today we will answer a question from email. This is from Jason. Hi, Sean. Has been a big fan of your YouTube videos. Very educational as well as useful information, especially those hunting for property. Hope to see my property review in Penang though, as this is where I am based. Here is my dilemma. I bought my current condo about 12 years ago and I have since paid off the mortgage. I have also just purchased my second condo that I am planning to move in, and it is scheduled to complete in 2 to 3 years' time. The question I have is whether I should rent out my current condo when I move to my new place, or should I sell it off and use the proceeds to pay off for the new mortgage. I know that it is still early, but I just wanted to gather opinions and thoughts early on so that I won't rush into a decision then. It might seem obvious that I should rent it out given that the property has already been paid off and it will be net cash positive. However, there are a few things that I am concerned about, such as finding the right tenant every time the lease ends, attending to problems with the tenant, the building age, as well as the whole property bubble possibility. If I sell the property, on the other hand, I can use the proceeds to clear off my new property mortgage. This way I can save on the interest to the bank, and to not mention, use the balance of the proceeds for other investment options. What are your thoughts on my situation? Regards, Jason. Thank you very much, first of all, Jason, for sending in the inquiry. And this is a very interesting topic lah. So the context in 12 years time, Jason has paid off a house and bought a new one, right? So now the question is, if I get the keys and I get to move into the new one, what do I do with the old condo? Do I rent it out versus selling? My take, number one, it depends on what is your ultimate goal of retirement, or how are you establishing your retirement fund currently. Because the fact that you can clear off your loan within 12 years time, right, it's simply very fascinating lah. People usually take 35 years, 30 years loan, but your one gao dim in 12 years time, right, I think your income level or saving patterns, right, must be very high. So let's put things into perspective. Like for myself, I'm a person who would want to leverage as much as I can while I can. So I'm not investing against time, right? Because I'm only the youngest today and I want to leverage on 35 years loan, 30 years loan, because as old as I can get, I can only afford to take very low margins in the future. That puts a lot of burden in the monthly installment, and it's very hard to then break even if I were to depend on the rental from the tenants lah. So when I bought my first condo, it was a sub-sale property. It means I actually coughed out certain money for the down payment and things like that. After that, I actually withdrew out the equal amount from my EPF. Then you have a choice whether to put it back again or to purchase the next one. What I did is I purchased the next one. I used that as a capital to get more leverage. And the thing that I did correctly was to really invest in a property where the installment can be covered by the rental. So although I owe the bank a lot of money, yes, this might sound very scary, but every month, it's okay because I'm actually earning like 50 to 100 bucks a month from this property. So let's say 10 years later lah. 10 years later, I have this amount of saving that is maybe, for example, 30, 50,000. Do I want to settle the debt, or do I go for another property? Same thing. To me, my intention is to get 20, 30 properties, right? So I'm actually hunting for properties that can generate positive cash flow, or even rental that can match the installment amount. Well, that depends in your affordability as well as your age group, because the margin and the tenure, and that affects the installment amount every month. And I will repeat this game again and again to the extent, let's say now we add on another 10 years, right? Now the apartment may be left 50,000 that I need to pay because it's almost 30 years already. What I will then do is to then go for this property A, to push to the bank, hey bank, how much is this worth right now? Then I will refinance, take capital out from the property to then invest in another one without using my own capital. Then my own capital, after that 10 years, I will invest another one. So that's how the multiplier game goes, provided, right? Of course, it comes with risk, provided that the property you buy makes sense in terms of the monthly rental versus installment ratio. throughout my 12 years investment journey, right, I have not sold any properties, to be very honest. Until today, I'm still holding my very first property. That's why like every month, I'm just collecting positive cash flow from the property. Even if it's not positive, right, it breaks even or it just requires like extra 200-300 for maintenance, I'm still okay. Because my end game is when 30 years later, the property belongs to me despite me not paying for anything. It can be the initial capital, but that 10% 30 years ago, right? And 30 years today, negligible. And this might not sound very, very appetizing for a lot of people. Everyone will have different modes. Some will prefer like buy, then sell, then flip and things like that, right? Which comes to the second scenario. In your case, are you in a mode where you want to gear up more in terms of investment, or you are just like ready for retirement? Because using the same philosophy I just explained on my investment, right, I would push to the bank, dear Mr. Bank, can I get a valuation on the property price? And I wish to refinance. I will refinance in accordance to the rental rates. For example, right, now let's say the rental there 2,000 for ease of calculation. So 2,000, I don't have your age, but just assume it's 30 years. You can refinance up to 500,000. It means now I'm applying for a 500,000 loan from the bank to take out. So every month I'll still need to pay installment for the 500,000 amount, which can be covered by the rental for this property. Then I'm staying in this current property. I will still pay installment. What I want to do with this 500,000, right, then it's entirely up to you. Whether stocks are, ETFs, crypto, watches, whatsoever. Because I believe, right, in this age of mine and the age that I'm in right now, what's most valuable in the eye of the financial institutions is the credibility. Now they have no worries providing me loan because they believe that I'm in my optimum capacity in earnings, right? I can work more, hustle more, trying to just make ends meet, right? So that gives me enough opportunity to leverage. And all this just because I don't have capital. If I got a lot of capital, then this is not even a conversation. I'll buy cash, so why even take loan, right? Then on the other side, if you're a person who is ready for retirement, maybe you're super good in stocks or you're super good in value investing, right? Being in a debt-free zone means a lot because you don't want to get very emotional every month by the commitment, and it leads you to make wrong decisions during your investment journey. Then maybe selling will be a better idea because that might affect your mode of how you make money. That also applies if you're a professional who is super good in your career, I bet, because you can clear in 12 years time. I think you're somebody in your career, hence it requires a lot of time and effort, and I do not appreciate any more distractions in my investments, right, that might disrupt my workflow. Then I would say sell. Of course, that depends still on the rental rates that you're going to get versus the selling price that people are going to buy, right? So in a conclusion, two extremes, right? One is you want to go very aggressively. I would refinance in accordance to the rental returns, right? So the installment is actually matching the rental returns, and I will use that cash to then invest in other more properties or other more investment vehicles. Maybe stocks, bond, ETFs, up to you lah. Then if you're a person who is a bit more reserved, you want to kind of slow down your pace already, I had enough, or you just really want to focus on your career, the things that you really do the best. You want to minimize distraction, then maybe selling might be a good thing. But do make sure to not let the money just stay idle. Whether you put it back into the property to reduce your money mortgages and things like that, or you invest it to let the money work for you further. I think that's very important because at this rate I'm seeing in the market, I'm very, very concerned about the inflation rate. Keeping money in a cash form currently in FDs, right, is still losing money in my opinion. I can no longer buy the same thing in the same price before MCO1. It's very, very scary. And I think that's all for this episode. Thank you very much, Jason, for the email. And if you guys, for those who still have any questions regarding real estate, do just email me at taniherng@gmail.com, or you can just DM me on Instagram, iherng, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.